Next, we'll knit the hat. On the right side of the garment, start from the decrease position on the right front button band. Pick up stitches along the top of the V-neck and the back neck opening. Knit the hat back and forth. After completing the second row of the hat, bind off using the bordure method with 4 stitches. Then, on the third row, pick up stitches at the bind-off position. Pay attention here for aesthetics. The pickup position is slightly different from the body part. I'll demonstrate the method for picking up stitches on the third row of the hat using this sample swatch. For the pickup technique on the third row of the hat, make sure the right side of the piece is facing you. Locate the bind-off position. It's in the middle of these 4 columns of horizontal chains. Specifically, between the second and third chain columns. Insert the straight needle into the space to the right of the first chain. Come out from underneath these 2 chain columns at the back of the fabric. Pick up the loose knot. Adjust it slightly. This is the first stitch. Continue by inserting into the space between the adjacent braid on the left. Exit from underneath the 2 braids at the back. Pick up 1 stitch. This is the second stitch. Make sure not to pull the picked up stitches too tight. Follow these steps and continue downward until you've picked up all the stitches in this row. This completes the picking up of stitches. You can see that on both the right side and wrong side of the fabric piece, there are 2 rows of horizontal chains below the stitch pickup position. For the remaining part of the hat, start by using an increase yarn over short row technique on the right side. Knit a corner triangle above the right front piece. After completing it, do the same above the left front piece, symmetrically knitting the other side's corner triangle. Once done, work even for the corresponding number of rows. Then decrease in the middle. After everything is completed, fasten off. Fold the ending position of the hat's loops in half and sew them together. Here, I will demonstrate the short row increase technique and the method for picking up loops. To sew together using a small sample, please watch the demonstration. Yarn over short row increase technique. For example, in this chart, start the short rows from row 2. At the end, leave the total number of stitches needed for the yarn over short row on one side unworked. I have already completed row 2. Begin row 3 with a double stitch. The double stitch is done in the same way as the previous one. Then, leave the total number of stitches on this side that need to be part of the yarn over short row unworked. For row 4, first finish the position of the double stitch. Then knit additional stitches corresponding to the pattern. Here, I am knitting 5 extra stitches. For each row at the turning point of the yarn over short rows, you should knit additional stitches corresponding to the pattern at the end. That means after finishing the double stitch position, knit the corresponding additional stitches. Repeat this process. Finish these 11 rows here. On the last row, after finishing the position of the double stitch, knit 4 additional stitches. This will perfectly complete all the loops. The connection between stitches remains in the loop state. Another commonly used method is to connect while creating a V-shaped braid effect with the knit stitch. This technique is typically used when both fabric pieces are in stockinette stitch. It's ideal for connecting 2 large flat knit pieces. Leave a long yarn tail on one of the pieces for sewing. Thread the yarn tail through a darning needle. Start by inserting the needle from right to left through the rightmost loop of the closer fabric piece. Next, insert the needle downwards through the same loop you just went through. Then go into the adjacent loop on the left side. Exit the loop from left to right. After that, adjust the loops of the second fabric piece. Insert the needle downwards through this loop. Finally, exit from left to right through the loop on the left side. That is, insert the needle upwards from the bottom. Continue to adjust the loop. Insert the needle downwards through the loop. Then exit from right to left through the loop on the left side. Adjust the loop of the back piece. Insert the needle downwards into the loop. The loop on the left side. In fact, it's from left to right, which means inserting upwards from below. Slightly adjust as needed. You can see that a braid has already formed here. Continue with the same method. After adjusting the previous loop, insert downwards from the top. Then insert downwards again at the back part. And then exit from left to right through the adjacent loop on the left side. I will continue to sew it up. The hat. Is now sewn together this way? If one of the pieces has more stitches, let's say the piece in front has more stitches, choose an appropriate position, and insert the hook through 2 loops at the same time. When the front piece has more stitches, insert the hook through 2 loops from right to left at the same time. If the back piece has more stitches, sew the first stitch normally. Then insert the hook through 2 loops from left to right at the same time. I will continue to sew up the rest. Here, and as you continue sewing afterward. When sewing the following parts, keep inserting the hook through 2 loops at the same time. This way, it will be sewn together nicely. Up to this point, the method for knitting the hat is now complete. Next, we will work on the front band, on the right side of the garment. Starting from the bottom edge of the right front piece. Pick up stitches along the edge of the button band and the hat. The method for picking up stitches is not fixed. Follow your own preference, and pick up the corresponding number of stitches, as evenly as possible. Then knit back and forth. As usual, start by knitting the edge and binding off. After that, pick up stitches again to work the 2x2 ribbing pattern. Pay attention here to the front band area. The technique for picking up stitches when binding off is the same as for the hat. During the process, make sure to create buttonholes at the corresponding position on the right front piece. Please watch the demonstration. I'll demonstrate the method for knitting buttonholes using this sample swatch. Buttonholes are worked on the right side. Each buttonhole takes up 4 stitches. That is, 1 knit stitch, 2 purl stitches, and 1 knit stitch. My sample has been worked up to this point. Start by working 1 knit stitch. Stretch the loop. Then pick it up, and place it onto the left needle. Then slip the next 3 loops on the left side one by one. Continue stretching this loop. Pick it back up, and place it onto the right needle. Slip the loop from the right needle. You can see that the 2 strands on the left side of this loop form a buttonhole like this. Adjust the size of the buttonhole. So that it's slightly smaller than the button you're using. After adjusting to the proper size, pick up these 2 strands with the left needle. Start with 1 purl stitch. Don't let go of the loop yet. Continue with 1 knit stitch and 1 purl stitch. Then pick up the loop that comes out on the left side of these 2 strands. Work 1 knit stitch. This completes the buttonhole. Once done, continue with the 2x2 ribbing pattern. Follow this method for the next steps. Refer to the chart and work the buttonholes at the corresponding positions. Knit the required number of buttonholes. After completing the entire front band, Switch to the wrong side and bind off by alternating knit stitches with tucking in stitches. Secure all loops once done. Next, sew on the buttons. Align the bottom edges of the right and left front bands. Sew the buttons onto the middle of the left front band. Ensure they match up with the buttonhole positions. The sewing method can vary. Just make sure to sew them on securely. Up to this point, the method for knitting the front band has been fully explained. Next, we will work on the sleeves. Let's take a look at the finished product. The left and right sleeves are worked using the same technique. Each sleeve is divided into 3 sections: the cuff edge, the sleeve body, and the sleeve cap. Among these, the cuff edge is further split into 2 regions. The method used here is identical to that of section 1 and section 2 of the body. The sleeve body starts by picking up stitches from the ending position of the cuff edge. During the knitting process, you will need to work an increased stitch on row 3, according to the chart positions. Then continue with the pattern. At the same time, add stitches on both sides. The new stitch technique used here is the RLI. Please watch the stitch demonstration. Continue learning the knit LLI. In most cases, below the loop lies a chain. First, pick up this loop and work 1 knit stitch. Then find the second chain below the loop. Use the left needle to pick up the strand on the left side of this chain, moving from left to right. Then work 1 knit stitch. This stitch on the left is the added stitch. That's how you complete the LLI. Let me demonstrate it again. Start by working 1 knit stitch. Then use the left needle to pick up the strand on the left side of the second chain below. Work 1 more knit stitch, and you're done. If there is a horizontal bar below the loop instead, start by working 1 knit stitch. Then you will notice that right below the loop, there is a chain. And below the chain, there is a horizontal bar. Pick up this horizontal bar. Then work 1 more knit stitch. Let me demonstrate it again. Begin with 1 knit stitch. Next, pick up the horizontal bar below the chain. Finally, work 1 more knit stitch. For a RLI, normally below the loop there is a braid. First, pick up the strand on the right side of this braid. Work 1 knit stitch. This is the added stitch. Then continue by inserting into the loop of this stitch. And work 1 knit stitch. That's how you complete the RLI. You can see that 2 loops have been created within 1 braid. Let me demonstrate it again. First, pick up the strand on the right side of the braid below and work one knit stitch. Then, pick up this loop and work another knit stitch. If there is a horizontal line below the loop, pick up the right side of the horizontal line and work a knit stitch. Then, pick up this loop and work another knit stitch. Let me demonstrate it again. First, pick up the right side of the horizontal line and work one knit stitch. Then, pick up this loop and work a knit stitch. That's the method for the RLI. During the process of knitting the sleeve pattern, you will also encounter lifted stitches. I'll demonstrate the method for knitting lifted stitches using a sample swatch. Each lifted stitch counts as 2 rows. The first row is worked on the wrong side. Start with 2 purl stitches. Next, the chart shows the opening for the lifted stitch. With the yarn tail above the right needle, slip this loop to the right needle, in the same way as a purl stitch. This completes the lifted stitch. Then bring the yarn tail back over the right needle. Work 1 purl stitch. At the position of the chain stitch, you'll see a loop formed by 2 strands of yarn. Continue following the chart to knit the corresponding pattern. Keep going until you reach the last 3 loops. Now we've arrived at this point. The next stitch on the chart is the opening for the lifted stitch. Slip 1 stitch, then yarn over, work 2 purl stitches. That's it for this row on the wrong side. Now move on to the next row, working on the right side. Start with 2 knit stitches. The next stitch in the chart is the arch of a lifted stitch. At the same time, pick up these 2 loops and work 1 knit stitch. This completes the lifted stitch. A hole similar to the pattern forms below. Continue working the corresponding pattern as you go down. Keep going until you reach the last 2 overlapping loops on the left side. We've now arrived at this point. Pick up these 2 loops and work 1 knit stitch. This completes the lifted stitch. Continue with 2 more knit stitches. That completes this row on the right side. Follow the chart to finish knitting the sleeve as you go down. Once the entire sleeve is complete, start by sewing together the side seams. You'll use a row-to-row joining method for this. Then sew up to the sleeve cap position. Here, you'll need a stitch-to-row joining technique. Please watch the demonstration. Next, we will learn How to connect row to row? We usually use the invisible seam method for this. When sewing, pick up the horizontal strands along the edges of 2 stitches. Let's first get familiar with the fabric piece. First, locate the first stitch on the edge. The first edge stitch typically has 4 possible cases. The first case is a slip stitch. This means slipping the stitch along the texture without working it. It forms a large braid. The second case is also a slip stitch. However, when slip stitching, it goes against the texture below, forming a knot like this. The third case involves working every row. Usually, you knit on the right side, and purl on the wrong side. This creates small braids like these. The fourth case also involves working every row. Usually, you knit on both the right and wrong sides. This creates a ridged stitch pattern. The second stitch is right next to the first one on the left side. For example, in this fabric piece, when looking at this side, the second stitch shows a knit texture. But when looking at the other side, the second stitch shows a purl texture. Whether the second stitch appears as a knit texture or a purl texture, you can notice that the loops are all facing forward. For these reversed loops, the horizontal bar below is the horizontal strand between 2 stitches. It's the same on this side as well. This one here is a reversed loop. And this line is the horizontal strand between 2 stitches. The same applies to garter stitch at the edge. This here is the second stitch. This column here is the second stitch. These are the forward-facing loops. Between these 2 stitches, there's a reversed loop. This line here is the horizontal strand between the 2 stitches. At the edge, there are slip stitches. Similarly, between these 2 stitches, there is also a horizontal strand. No matter which type, one carry strand roughly corresponds to 1 row. Before sewing, you can first weave in the yarn tail on the wrong side for a few stitches, and tie off to secure it. Then, fasten it with a knot. Here, I will skip weaving in the ends. For invisible sewing, you alternate between these 2 fabric pieces, picking up the horizontal strands along the edges of 2 stitches, and sew them together. Pick up 1-2 strands each time. Note that, if the row counts of the two pieces are identical, you can sew them together correspondingly. This means the number of carry strands you pick up each time will be the same. Always insert the needle from the last stitch, where you pulled out the needle previously. To pick up the horizontal strand. Here, I'm picking up 1 strand each time. After sewing a few stitches, slightly tighten it. If the row counts of the two pieces are different, but you need to sew the pieces together evenly, you can pick up more strands on the side with more rows. For example, overall, pick up 1 strand each time, but on the side with more rows, you can pick up 2 strands at appropriate positions. This allows for better alignment. When sewing, pick up 2 strands where necessary. Here, the row counts of the two pieces are identical. I will continue and finish sewing. This is the seamless sewing method for rows. If the stitches are in a bound-off state, and you need to sew them with rows, on the stitch side, pick up the reversed braid, pick up the 8. On the row side, pick up the horizontal strand. And, if the number of rows exceeds the number of stitches, you can adjust accordingly. At the appropriate position, pick up 2 horizontal strands simultaneously. If you don't want the braid effect after sewing, just tighten the yarn. That concludes the explanation of the sleeve knitting method. After completing the entire garment, the shoulders might droop slightly. creating a dropped shoulder effect. If you want to avoid the dropped shoulder effect, you can use the backstitch method. Reinforce the shoulder and neckline areas. This will help maintain a regular shoulder effect. Cut a segment of the main color yarn and thread it into a sewing needle. For this demonstration on my swatch, I'll use cotton yarn to show the method. Turn the wrong side of the garment toward yourself. Locate the position where the shoulder stitches were joined. First, hide the yarn tail at the starting position. Secure it with 2 stitches. Then, use the backstitch method. Follow the shoulder join line. Stitch from the back of the neckline to the other side of the shoulder. Once completed, tie a double knot. Weave in the ends. This completes the explanation of the cardigan's knitting method. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website, Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.